spirit side, we're told to make amends for those negatives. That's why they say winska, because you have to make amends.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there, challenges that you face in being resilient?
Damn right. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
We have, I mean, you can tell me, but we also have some suggestions here if you want to look at them.
Sure, I'll look at them and then.
Okay. And if any apply, just let me know. And
restrictions. Yes, restrictive government systems. We have so many things that are policies in place that are restricting Aboriginal sectors. Also, too, the policies and procedures in place are not well educated when it comes to Aboriginal cultures or peoples. Immigration should have more extensive policies and procedures in place to have them so there's less racism to Aboriginal people and women. They come into this country with very little education, so they are have a lot of discrimination and racism stereotypes to Aboriginal women, predominantly because they think they're easy. We educate them when they come in our country so there's less negativity and stereotyping and there's more harmony, equilibrium. That would be something that would help. Police brutality. My mother was constantly being raped as a street person. I don't know how many times she got raped. She finally just gave up. Police are very ignorant and they're very sexist and they do not give a shit about Aboriginal women. My daughter attends Ben Caffrove School. I picked her up one day. She's 10 years old. She was well developed for her age. The constable that's on the site looked and checked on my daughter. He didn't think I was my daughter, my daughter, because I look young. I saw that, it triggered me, and I took my daughter out of that school. I cannot do anything on my daughter's behalf other than that, because I cannot change the policy and procedures, because I look like I'm too sensitive and I have PTSD, which really hinders my word and my aspect. He still works there. He says he's sorry. He feels sorry. But honestly, I found him and he checked my daughter. So what can he say from that? All I can do is just say my word, and I say it to places. I've already said it to how many places, so it'll catch on. And that's funny how that can exist. That's what I'm saying on there. That's funny that exist. And laws and policies that are in place, there are male chauvinistic laws that are biased, and they're not ethnically diverse. They're only one-sided to a male-dominated, white, privileged society that only does huge reforms in the Canadian world, the government, and the justice systems when there comes periods of oppression. So they don't have proactive or prevention approaches for these types of things. Lack of family support, that exists in a lot of things that they don't realize it. We as Aboriginal peoples who are educated, we lose out on our family. My grandmother was told if she gets her education, she loses out her family, her home life, her land. She didn't get her education past grade 9. I lost my family because education was jealousy. Yes, I suffer from depression, but it's because I have a shitty life. I would be better if I didn't have a shitty life. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you get better? It's like, you don't know what it's like when I went through this. I went through a lot of shit when I was growing up, but doesn't mean I'm depressed. It is situational past. I'm not stuck in it. Trauma from abuse, I'm traumatized, yes. I was going through a lot of crap, but it doesn't make me define me. I will overcome it. In mental and physical health issues, I have psychosomatic symptoms from the PTSD, which perpetuated and prolonged for over a period of 10 years max, so probably or even more. I kept going and I was resilient, but it really stuck because it's not really talked about in Aboriginal communities. The terminology for psychology helped me relate to the condition that was happening to me. If we have simple terminology for Aboriginals to break down understanding of trauma and mental health issues, I didn't understand that the terminology for flip the nymphoid, is that what it is? Flip the lid. There's a part of your brain called a lymph node, I think it's called. Anyways, when you go through trauma, your brain goes and switches on, body trauma, your brain goes in this way where it goes hijacked, right? So it's called flipping the lid, is where you change your cognitive thinking so you learn to go overcome it. we as Aboriginal people are not offered cognitive therapy approaches as much as pharmaceutical dependency. So instead of teaching our people to have mental health strategies that are actually effective, we choose to just give them medication, or which is really stupid. It's just going to add on to a more bigger bill. But we're not proactive in those things because we don't have also to the we need highly qualified educational mental health therapists who help the natives, because there's too many therapists who are out there who are healing people who don't have like education requirements, and they actually re-traumatize people, and they offer second-rate services, and they also are racist, or underlining racist, I should say. Health issues, yes. Housing issues, yes. The housing issue on the reserve is so different from Canada. My house on the reserve doesn't have clean water, and people are always like, why is that happening still? And it's a combination of issues, but that's really weird. Lack of childcare and support. The daycare sector is highly, we have a lot of kids that are in care and daycare. They're Aboriginal, and they get a lot of, because they're low income, so a lot of women go into sector with a lot of kids that are in daycare. The daycare sector is fine and dandy. They want to keep their kids. They take their care of their kids. But when it comes to working in the field, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of stereotypes, and it's really, really stressful, and it's a highly toxic work environment, and it also makes you wonder what the care is like. So that's one of the things. Lack of transportation on the reserve. The resilience, one of the biggest things is there's lack of accessible busing from northern Alberta, which makes women take this thing called share rides or hitchhike, which makes them very vulnerable. And also there is no it's not just the fact of just getting the rides, it's the fact of educating our women there's this financial literacy class that works to, if you take this class for 6 months, you get to like raise up so much money. Well, we should have that kind of thing, but for women, so they can get their drivers. Not enough emphasis on women getting their drivers. I noticed a lot of women, Aboriginal women, have a lot of anxiety of getting their drivers. They don't want to. They don't want to do it. They don't even want to take tests. They'll go up till they're 40 until they get their drivers, and then still they don't want to. I don't know why. So more emphasis on getting their drivers training, and more opportunities for younger kids to get that. Lateral violence, that happens all the time. Too much competition with Aboriginal women, that happens all the time. We want this violence and discrimination, and we don't want Aboriginal women murdered. The problem is we have a lot of Aboriginal women who are leaders, or people who are leaders, but they're constantly these people like who I see all the time who want to always share the spotlight. I like having a strong voice. I like being a leader, but I like being a collective where I am part of the group, not in front of everybody. So I don't have to worry about how I look or my teeth or anything like that. I don't have to worry about all this stuff, but I like a collective. Mm-hmm. That's who we were as a society, so that I don't get a big head. And I like being humble. So we as women, I think we're so basis on competition because we never had that. Now we're just like, have a strong voice. We're forgetting that we're all unique in part of a big project. Yeah.
I have to ask you one more question.
Sure.
So the last one here, because I think you'd have a lot to say on it. What helps you be resilient? And so we have some suggestions here again, if you want to look at them. And
I know what I know what to say.
Okay.
So my grandmother is, she got her pipe and her sweat lodge from Chief Mountain. She went every year from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, Alberta, to go and earn her pipe. And she made hides and moccasins and saved her money every year. And she said she would cry because her body hurt, and then the spirits would tell her we're with you, grandchild. Those stories that